Hi,
Hello.
Robin.
Hello, Enrique. All right.
I how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. It's not as warm in the UK, so we're cooling down a bit now. We're not used to this 20 plus degrees.
I I'm calling you from Toronto, just
Oh,
so you know.
wow. Excellent.
Uh,
Near the big festival.
yeah, it's coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
Preparing for
busy
that.
time for everyone.
Yeah, and yeah, Jess is just running late through an appointment. She said she'll
Oh,
be
that's okay.
joining.
I'll put it back a bit. Yeah. We can go through some questions. And you're the
Um,
producer, I believe.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I produced the short with her when she was here in Toronto.
Superb. And it was shot in Toronto, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, it was shot here in Toronto in January of earlier this year in a cold winter.
Yeah, I know how that feels. But yeah. Are
Are
you
you?
going to Toronto? Are you going to the festival then?
Yeah, yeah. I have a feature that I'm developing, so I'm taking up meetings for that because it's meant to be a co-production with Chile. So
Oh,
I was
wow.
meeting the Chilean filmmakers that are coming here.
Great.
Have you ever been to TIFF?
No, I can't believe I've not been. No, every year, because I'm in the UK, it's a little bit pricey, but um, I have somebody that wants to go for my website, so I let them go, and I think, okay, you go and enjoy it. And then I think 10 years later, I'm like, why are I going? Uh,
Yeah.
it's easy for me to go to London or Cannes, because they're closer, but yeah, I have to do it maybe next year. I'd love to do it. I don't know why I don't.
Yeah, if you're here, just let me know. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great time. I feel like the crowds are the best. I think that's my favorite part about it. I had a
Yeah.
feature in the festival last year. And yeah, like the turnouts were great and
Yeah,
just
it's great, isn't
a
it?
great platform.
And it kicks off the award season as well, I suppose, with the big movies that we all have to watch. But yeah, it's certainly the big kickoff.
Yeah, it does feel like that's closer to because I know Cannes and like Sundance earlier this year, like a lot of movies are there, but it continues. I feel like it continues that because they bring a lot of like the winners that Cannes here.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, well, Cannes massive. I mean, Cannes always has been big, but now you get 4 or 5 films in Cannes that go to the awards festival, and it's a circuit. And it didn't used to be like that. It used to be maybe one or two,
Mm,
maybe, but now it's yeah. And Sundance not so much, I don't think, because it's so far away.
yeah, I
Because
feel
it's
like I see a lot
January.
of documentaries that end up
Yeah.
always in that category. That's what I noticed the most is documentaries.
Yeah, you get the odd indie, don't you, that survives. Something like Sing Sing, a film where it's has to survive the whole year,
Mm-hmm.
to get to December and like, oh no, we've forgotten about you now. It's like, oh.
Exactly. No, that was the thing with Life of Chuck because it won People's Choice last
Yeah,
year, and
exactly. Yeah,
I don't felt like it. I felt like that it could have had more attention towards it.
I think if they'd have released it yeah, it would have. But now it's kind of people have watched it and it's the buzz has died a little bit. Sad. I don't know if it's going to go into this season, I think, but
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a shame because that was really hot property, wasn't it?
yeah. I got to watch it at the premiere last year.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, all the cast were there, and I actually got to meet Mark Hamill and Tom Hiddleston at that premiere. Yeah,
Wow.
that I thought that movie. People beside me were crying. So
Well, it's like a proper feel good, like proper movie, wasn't it? Like audience pleaser. But
it's like it has all the different tones. I think like 'cause it has a massive dance scene. It talks a lot about life and all that. So it
yeah.
hits different beats.
Oh
And
dear.
it has
Oh.
a massive cast. So how about yourself? Like would love to hear more about your platform and what kind of you guys do and
Yes. So Filmotemy is my website. I'm hoping you've heard of that. But we try and cover like the sort of outskirts of cinema. So like female filmmakers, indie, international cinema. Because you look at things like Variety and Hollywood Reporter, and all these big sites, they churn out the same material, don't they?
yeah.
Marvel. Who's going to win the Oscar? Let's predict the Oscars from May. I've just found it a bit silly. So we try and cover everything. I still have an awards editor. I have a guy called Doug in Australia, and he does the entire award season for me. Is incredible.
Hmm.
But we try and cover everything else. I'm very much a fan of films that don't win Oscars, if anything. So that's what we've done. And then the festival, about 10 years ago, I thought I want to start doing like a streaming films made by women, and it just turned into an event. So each year I was like, oh, I'll do it again. And after 5 years, I was like, oh, so I'm still doing this? This is mad. Now, 10 years,
Wow.
this is the big one. This has got like screenings, 80 plus films. It's huge, but it's still only 10 days. So it's going to be absolutely massive. So literally April, I started recruiting, getting the films, recruiting some volunteers, and I'm still working on it now full time until
When,
34 days and it starts. It's absolutely
it starts in 30 days?
Yeah, 19th of September. I always time it. You mentioned TIFF, and
Hmm.
I once booked it at the same time that TIFF was on, and that was a big mistake because nobody was around. So I always book it after TIFF now.
Nice. Well, I wish I knew about it earlier. I would have because the last feature I did was directed by female filmmaker. It's her feature film debut.
Oh,
We
really?
went we were the second or third most nominated film last year or this year at the Canadian Screen Awards, which is our Oscars.
Oh, you have to send me some details then, because I mean, if you want me, I'm happy to do a write up or review or something, or just anything
Yeah.
like that.
I'm happy
We're
to send
always
you a
interested.
screener. I'm happy to send you a screener because we didn't have much play in Europe.
Oh,
That's
I'd
why.
love that. Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Yeah,
Good
because
Jessica's here.
I'm still looking for possibilities to screen the film, especially in the UK and other areas there.
Yeah, send me
Um,
some details, Enrique, and we'll see what we can do. Yeah, I mean, even if not part of the festival, we can still have it on the website. We can
yeah,
publicize it and get someone to review it for you.
amazing.
There she is.
Hello.
Hello, Jessica. Hello, hello, hello.
So sorry. I'm so sorry. I was at
No,
a
you're
doctor.
okay.
It took 200 years to take me in. Whew, I'm here
Well, that's
now.
pretty quick. Things have improved then, because the 200 years, it used to be a lot longer than that, didn't
Yeah,
it?
that's it. That's the NHS.
Yeah. So, are you from the UK, Jessica?
I am. I'm from London, and I'm
Oh,
in
so we
London.
know. Yeah, mentioned NHS. Yes, I was going to say you might not get that joke if you didn't know about the NHS, but yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
poor
marvelous.
Enrique. He doesn't understand my humor.
He's like, oh, I get straight into the doctor. I've seen my GP.
I saw my GP this morning for a small call.
We had coffee and everything. Yeah,
The joke is that our health system's failing, Enrique.
Oh, oh,
It's
that's
really,
unfortunate.
really funny. It's a really funny topic here in the UK.
yeah. We have a better relationship with the receptionist than we do with the actual doctor because we never see him.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Um,
Um,
how are you,
yeah,
Robert?
I'm good. I'm good. I've had a nice chat with Enrique, and I've learned a lot about him. So that was good. I want to go to TIFF more now because he asked me if I've ever been. I said no, and I felt like a really bad journalist.
I'm so surprised that he mentioned TIFF. He never mentions TIFF.
I think I mentioned it first, to be fair, because he said it was in Toronto, and I think I mentioned that. Do you know about the festival there?
Does he? He knows everyone at the festival and everything about the festival.
Oh, well, that's a
Mm.
pretty good place to be, I think.
Yes,
Um,
very much so.
so yeah, we'll only take like 25 minutes of your time or whatever, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
The film's going to be screened online. I think my one of my coordinators has already spoke to you about that.
Yes.
And they've been absolutely amazing, by the way. Without those coordinators, Holly, Molly, and Ivy, the other lady, I wouldn't be where I am because there's a lot of stuff to do for a festival, even an online one. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
I interned for the New Zealand International Film Festival like
Mm.
5, 6 years ago. And even I was run off my feet and I was the unpaid intern. Everybody was working so hard. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can
I mean, I
imagine.
have a day job. I don't get paid for this. I don't get any revenue. The screening is going to be free. I don't make a penny. Everything that needs to be paid for, I pay for, but it's
Yeah.
worth it.
Wow.
Yeah. There's no plane fares or theaters, so that really makes it a lot cheaper for me.
Yeah.
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 And I'll post this interview. I'll edit it a little bit, and then I'll post it on the same day. So people can watch it either ahead or depending on how many spoilers we give
Mhm.
strategically. And obviously, you're going to get a couple of reviews as well. One on Filmotomy and one on the festival official site, which I launched 3 months ago.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because I wasn't busy enough. So I thought, oh, let's do a website as well.
Yeah.
Like, let's get on with the talk about this film. I think just to start with, I always like to ask because of the festival is based on female filmmakers and the climate, and you know this better than any of us men. But I mean, I think it's changed a little bit over the last 10, 15 years. Where do you see yourself? Like, what challenges have you overcome as a woman in the industry? What achievements? Any time scale?
So I have started out as a script supervisor. So writing and directing was always my first love, but it's very much something that I've come to a little bit after getting into the film industry. As a script supervisor and generally being a woman on set, what's quite interesting is that when I've been on quite blokey, male heavy sets, which I would call towards the more misogynistic end of the scale, being blokey and loud is the way that you get ahead and being direct and just sort of giving it back. And then I haven't found that people have sort of specifically targeted me for being a woman. I think you do notice it a lot. Somebody taking you less seriously than a man saying the exact same thing. But then I think that goes throughout any industry, any life path ever.
Yeah.
Um, but what is quite interesting is that I got my start on like female directed things, and I found that really inspiring and like very like female HOD heavy jobs. And then I went straight into like the opposite of that. And that's where I sort of started on like the higher end stuff and learning to be direct and like forthright. And that's how you like stayed in the game. And then leaving that world and going back into a less like something sort of in between the two, that's actually the hardest bit that I've
Mm.
found because being just like efficient and direct and not sort of beating around the bush as English people are wont to do, it's quite quick for people to call you bitchy or bossy or anything else. And you might not be being any of those things. You're just trying to like get it done because you've got 25 slates to shoot that day and like you can't sit around and talk about it or whatever it is. Or 17 people are coming and asking you a question at once. I'm not going to take 20 minutes to answer your question so that you feel a bit coddled. Do you know what I mean? I've got like all these
Yeah.
other people to answer. So I'm being quite
Mm.
quick. And then it's like, oh, that's what I found really interesting is that the way to get ahead in like on the blokiest film sets is actually you then get sort of like chastised for that on slightly less blokey sets where there's just as many men, but they all sort of identify as feminists. It's quite interesting. I don't know. It's like it's
Yeah.
this weird sort of like I've had to figure out how to be like, but then if I was too sweet and too nice, then you don't get taken seriously. So there's not really anywhere that you can sit because if
You're just
you're
juggling
too
dynamics
like
all
a
the time,
man,
aren't you? Yeah.
people say shit about you, and if you're too like a sweet woman, people just don't listen. So it's like I'm quite a direct person. I was raised by a Dutch father. Like I'm
Oh
not,
wow.
I'm not very sort of, I don't beat around the bush, but I would never, ever, ever want to be rude to someone or dismissive or make them feel small. So like, it's never my intention, but I don't know. It's like, that's what I found more like film set wise. In writing and directing, I haven't really found too many challenges yet as a woman. I think what's quite interesting with this film specifically with Don't Be Rude is that it's about a very like lived woman's experience that I think a lot of people have experienced in one way or a lot of women, sorry, have experienced in one way or another. But because it's not loud and abrasive and like he's not really obviously scary as a villain, like even like the guys who were on our set, they were like, "Oh, I hadn't really thought of this as like a scary situation." And my male friends who watched it after were like, "Oh, I could see how she'd have been a bit scared. Like I wasn't too scared myself because he's not like super menacing and that he doesn't show a weapon at any point or anything like that. Whereas my female friends understood all of the nuance that we actually like. There was some things that were less nuanced in the first version of the cut, and Enrique and I decided no, they're a bit too on the nose. Like let's get rid of that and da da da. But like all my female friends still picked up on all those things, even though we didn't expose them. So I found that quite interesting. Like
Not mentally.
I write a bit more for a female audience than I do a male audience.
Yeah, I mean, I got it. We'll come to the film obviously shortly, but yeah, I got that it was a little bit. Do you know what it reminded me of? The end of Silence
Heretic.
of the Lambs. The end of
Oh
Silence of
yeah.
the Lambs when Jodie Foster turns up at his house. Because if you put the film on at that moment and didn't watch any of the other, you would be in the similar boat to you they were in your film. Perhaps not as
Yeah.
funny, but
Yeah, interesting. I wrote my
the
dissertation on
backstory.
Silence of the Lambs.
Maybe that was part of the inspiration you didn't even
Yeah.
realize.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll ask Enrique a quick question, then, if that's all right, because obviously you
Yeah.
mentioned a couple of female-directed films that you've, from your perspective, then, do you see those kind of sort of dynamic shifts that women have to make in the industry?
Like, to be honest, like I mean, I feel like in on my perspective, I'm just more adaptive in terms of like how people work and
Mhm.
what kind of their approaches. I felt like it varies. Like there are male directors that are more straightforward, and there have been sets that I've experienced that have added tension to it, depending on how the director conducts how he reacts towards his crew. So I think it varies person to person. I think it's been a mix of. I've also had female directors who people have said are in the same way of like are to direct. So it varies person to person. I think it's just more. I think it varies because I would say that because I worked at the Canadian Film Center here, which is similar to I guess the BFI. So I got to
Mhm.
work with close to 50 directors during my time there, and like just seeing how different people work, I think that was the interesting part of it. So it's like really it varies.
Yeah, fair enough. Um, so, I mean, how did you two meet then, and how did this film take off? It does say on the last bit, which I didn't know until the very end, it says based on a true story. So, I mean, feel free to come on to that, Jessica. But how did you two meet and build this and conceive this project then? Don't be rude.
So we met, I thought about moving to Toronto and and before I sort of made the leap to move for like the number of months that I went and lived there, I just went for like a 10-day trip and I met Enrique, I think at like a networking thing. And then we just sort of like started chatting a little bit, but like just happened to sort of share like details.
Mm.
But it was a very sort of like I would say it wasn't like super intentional. And then when I moved back to Toronto, he had Village Keeper out, and I went along with a friend that I had made working in the bar that I was working in, and she wanted to be an actress, and that was Lola. But I had sort of said as like a sort of passing comment, ha ha ha, we should make a short film. As I am wont to do, I love like making big plans and then often don't follow through on them. And then I talked to Enrique uh before, like I think it was before you were going into the film or something. I like, literally caught him for like 2 seconds and I said, oh, I've written a short film, and he was like, send it to me. And then the next day he followed up and I had written a bit of it, I hadn't written it. And he was like, send it to me. And I went, oh God. So I wrote it. And then the next day I sent it to him. And he
You
was
never
like,
told me that part.
huh?
Never told me that part.
Yeah, I hadn't written. I just said I'd written it. And then he was like, I knew the story. I knew what was happening because it had been in my mind for a long time. And then but I need a deadline. So I
Yep.
like somebody if somebody says get it done, I'll get it done really quick. If I'm given all the time in the world, it'll take me forever. That's why I was always good at exams and terrible at coursework. But I sent it to Enrique. He really liked it. And then I mean it was all down to him. Within about 3 weeks we were in production. Didn't take long. He was just, I had Lola. I said to Lola, do you want to be the main girl? She didn't really have much choice. And she went, yeah, all right. And then Enrique like sent me about 10 self-tapes like 2 days later. Honestly, wouldn't have been long. I think it was something like that. And there was just you posted on whatever like casting, like a Canadian casting website, but there were people from all over that were like wanting to be Brian. There was a guy from like Winnipeg, there was a guy from Quebec, somewhere in Quebec, Montreal, I think
Wow.
it could have been somewhere else. And then in the end, like, which was great for I would have felt really bad. They were saying like, that they were happy to like handle their travel because I was thinking, oh gosh, I don't know how I'm going to pay all this travel. But then luckily in the end, the best person for the job was in Toronto. So that all worked out quite nicely. But yeah, it was like a super quick, super spontaneous. And luckily it was quite easy to sort of bring it together. I don't know, the stars just sort of aligned. Like Lola's stepmother was going away and she said, yeah, you can shoot it at my house. So it all just sort of went, phew.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like really easy, but like I don't think we could have planned for any of that. It just sort of all fell on in our laps quite nicely, which was just all meant to be.
That is good, yeah. You mentioned you went to the bar and funding it. Sorry, Enrique, did you want to say something else?
No, I just said I just wanted to say we just acted on it as soon as we knew
Yeah.
we wanted to do it. It's like we just didn't have a second thought that we weren't gonna do it. I think that's like the biggest thing when it
Yeah,
comes to project together. It's like if you want to do it, do it.
yeah, you're right. It was good.
Um,
It was a really good energy for that reason as well.
is it true you funded it by working in this bar, is what I read. So I mean like that because obviously it's gonna cost you what even though you saved a bit of money on the actor coming from Quebec or whatever, but you must have had a bit of money to spend. How did you fund it?
I was working in a bar and I was very
Mm.
friendly. People tipped me and I saved
Yeah,
it.
so
And
it's
then
tips.
we spent it. Yeah, it was tips in a bar, like
Oh,
entirely. Yeah. I don't think there
sick.
was any other means of I think the DP chipped in a little bit for some kit stuff because he was also really passionate about the project. So we sort of split some of the kit fee, but that all came because it was, like there was a mentor who wanted to help him out and so it was like discounted kit. So yeah, no, honestly, truly bar tips.
Super. I love
I'm
it.
just
That just shows
great.
passion, doesn't it? Yeah. How much you want to make a film depends on that. It all depends on how nice you are to people.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
No, I love
Yeah,
that. So I mean, the set you've answered. I was going to ask about the setting. You've kind of answered it, but the costumes are quite distinct as well. Is that deliberate that he would wear a dark dressing gown, she would wear red? Is that deliberate, or is that just something you just like come in what you're wearing and we'll take it from there?
No, so we kind of, I'm trying to think how we sort of came up with a costume because we didn't have a costume person. We just sort
Mm.
of discussed it amongst ourselves. We sort of thought a little bit. I thought, what would he realistically be doing? It's about 1 p.m. What would he be doing at this point in the day? Well, let's say he's had a big week. Maybe he's had a lazy day. So he's either going to be in his pajamas or like his joggers or something like that. And then we thought, we didn't want to go too down like the sort of like a stereotypical sort of like didn't want to go for any kind of like Hugh Hefner look, but it was more kind of like what would you be wearing if you were lounging around your house and you were like potentially somebody quite dangerous? It was like it's quite disarming for somebody to be in a everything was sort of like quite like chosen, especially
Yeah.
like makeup design was like very like specific and you don't necessarily see all of it, but it's all there. And we thought what what's gonna like unsettle the audience the most? And I think somebody just wandering around in their dressing gown that's like looks like quite a cozy dressing gown. It doesn't look like anything that you would sort of be like, oh,
we want we
what a specific dressing gown.
yeah, I feel like you kind of wanted it to be unassuming. That was the thing.
Yes, that too. And then the Lola's outfit, that's my hat and my jumper. She just looked really good in them. And I thought I
Yeah.
want to nice. So that's what she wore. But like this sort of scalloped white top, that was quite sort of like it's like a little bit sort of girl next door. And we specifically, even though it was winter in Canada, bless her, the outdoor scenes weren't great. We wanted her to be a backpacker that didn't really know what she was doing. So we didn't give her a coat.
Oh, okay.
That was like an intentional move. We thought she's silly and she's got herself into deep water. How would already before she goes in the house, she's like freezing doing a door-to-door job, thinking, "Oh, I'll be all right. I've got a jumper on," and obviously it's not right because it's Canada in the winter.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it
Yeah, I
wrong.
got the impression at the beginning that she didn't know where she was, or it was all very new to her. So she was already kind of in your head as an audience member. You already assume she's a little bit lost already, and then you've got
Yeah,
that having your door slammed in your face as well. We've all had that, haven't we? Where cold
yeah,
calling or whatever. So yeah, it's
yeah.
better for seeing.
She's desperately trying to make this move that she's done not a silly thing to have done.
Mm.
So she's like sort of scrabbling about a little bit from the off.
Yeah, definitely. Um, the overall tone as well. I mean, you can tell me, or do you want the audience to feel this? Obviously, the suspense, absolutely, but there's also a bit of comedy. It's quite light-hearted in places, and then the music at the end is almost not a twist, but it's like, oh, there is a murderer, and then the music is real light-hearted at the end. So you're almost like Is that your intention? You wanted them those mood mixes within the film and have the audience interpret it?
Yeah, the composer Dom was absolutely amazing. We really like we went through a lot of different ideas, a lot of different inspirations, and she loves. I watched her sort of show reel before I brought her on board, and it was just so perfect. Like really like scary violins and things like that. We took a lot of moments from films like Midsummer, Heretic, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, if you think about watching like a horror film or even like Joker or something like that, when Frank Sinatra, That's Life comes on, you don't feel uplifted. Like the song originally sort of makes you feel a little bit, and you kind of listen to the lyrics a bit more. Or if there's like
Yeah.
a nursery rhyme in a horror film, it's really obvious, but it makes it really scary because it's something that you should feel comforted by, but you absolutely don't. So we thought quite a lot about that. I think there was certain little moments where we wanted to sort of inform the audience without telling them that like she's holding her breath. So like when she stands at the door, there's like a breath in moment and
Yeah.
she's waiting for the door to be opened. And then it lets out as soon as the door opens. But like you don't see her holding her breath and we're not like forcing you to notice that, but it's something that will hopefully subconsciously go on the audience's mind.
Yeah.
Um, what's interesting with the sort of ending, that's part of like, that wasn't part of the true story, but I think it is part of many true stories in a lot of places, is that it's often the idea with the film is that it's light-hearted as long as nothing goes wrong. If something goes wrong, it's immediately not light-hearted and none of it's funny.
Yeah.
So in real life, what happened was my friend, when we lived in Melbourne, we were really broke. She was selling solar panels door to door. And what's really interesting is that the guy that she went into the house of was, by her words, a lot creepier than what we made Brian. But I thought that would make it a bit too obvious
Yeah.
and a bit like we're trying to make a thriller. I wanted it to be a bit more interesting and a bit sort of to sort of showcase the like the way that women often have to use their brains in ways that it's just so unfair that we have to like notice everything as soon as like
Yeah.
she only goes inside that house because she feels that she ought not to be rude um and it would make him uncomfortable if she like stereotyped him before he whilst all he's been is nice but her like senses are set off straight away. um what the script that Enrique read, there was a lot more, there's quite a lot of stage direction about like she notices this, oh my God, I'm going mad. Like that's obviously fine. And she
Yeah.
notices this, oh no, 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 don't be silly. And like she gets given the tea, oh my God, is it poison? I better not drink it. And then he goes, drink up. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she just drinks it without thinking. And then she starts coughing. And actually she's just got it's just gone down the wrong hole. So it was like
Yeah.
sort of trying to play with you at every given moment. And then the like twist after he switches off the radio is that they both know they're both lying to each other, but they both don't know yet if the other person knows that the other one's lying.
Yeah.
And the
Definitely.
first time that that is revealed is when she slips up and she changes the gender of her manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she knows. So it's like it's this kind of like cat and mouse, but without showing that at all. It's like this sort of like it's meant to be really sort of under the surface the whole time. Because I just feel like I have seen quite a lot of films about people like women or people, whoever, being stuck somewhere and trying to get out, and there's someone mad who's keeping them stuck. I just thought it was a
That's
bit
that's why I
interesting.
thought of Silence of the Lambs as well, because when she sees the death head moth in Silence of the Lambs, and she
Yeah,
knows who this is, and then he knows that she knows. So that I think that
yeah,
mentality was in my head, especially at the end when she left, and I was still. I mean, I'm in my forties, so I don't scare easy. But I when she left and she's ringing her friends hung up, and she's still outside the house. I'm thinking, why are you still outside the house? Go. That's what I'm
yeah,
doing before she runs off and before he waves. At
yeah,
that moment, I'm thinking, don't just stand there. Walk while you talk, woman.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so there's that mentality from a male perspective so obviously I was a little bit creeped out, obviously.
Yeah, but that's also because she's like immediately said, I'm probably being a complete idiot. The text that I got from my friend was, oh my God, I thought I was about to be raped and murdered. And
Yeah.
I said, what? What are you talking about? Tell me what happened. And I went back in my messages and found all the messages and wrote the script from that. But she was like, "Oh, I'm being an idiot." Like he was obviously fine, he was harmless, but she didn't feel that he was like she didn't feel that he was harmless while he was in there. She just immediately second guessed herself as soon as she made it out and wasn't murdered. She was like, "Oh, I must be an idiot."
Yeah. But as an audience member, you don't know. So
Yeah, well,
I was
but
expecting a jump
you're
scare or
never
something.
meant to know because it's
Yes.
not that there's a murderer somewhere else. It's that there is somebody else who something similar has happened to. So it could
Yeah.
easily have happened here too.
Yeah.
That was the aim with that.
Well, I enjoyed it anyway. Like you say, it doesn't matter if it's a thriller or a comedy or whatever. It made me think, and the whole dynamics of it, and even to the very end, And then even when the music, I mentioned that because when it goes to the end credits, she's run off. It's like I am supposed to be enjoying this music, but this is quite scary stuff. She's left to drop to a boss is going to be mad at her because she's left a clipboard on the floor, because the boss was a bit of a villain as well. Let's be honest, we've all had one of them. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I really enjoyed it. Really sort of light-hearted, but yeah, very big message in there. So
Yeah, I quite like sort of I've realized this. I hadn't realized this before, but in a lot of my writing, I quite like juxtaposing scary and funny because I feel like it makes the funny things funnier because you're laughing in spite of yourself. And it's like in any like Stephen King, there's always like a really light-hearted moment and then it's bang straight back into the horror. And you're like, "Oh my God, no, not again." And then you're more scared than you were if there hadn't been a little like release and then dropped again. So like that's kind of like my aim. Whether I hope I achieved it. I'll achieve
yeah,
it
you did,
more each
you
film.
did. I was all over the place after it. I had to have a drink. Quit my job. I'm not doing door to door ever again. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I suppose final question before I let you both go is like for both of you really, what have you got planned next film wise? I know Enrique might be going to Toronto Film Festival, but generally speaking, what's on the horizons for you two next? And will you work together again?
Hopefully, I feel like geography is the tricky thing. It's like me being back at home now. But Enrique, you go first. What's next for you?
Yeah, right now I'm currently working. I mean, Village Keeper's still doing a festival run. It's still playing about four festivals a month. And it's gonna be we're sorting out streaming for the US right now, and I'm currently in early stages of development for a co feature that's meant to be an elevated genre with Chile. So I'm working on that with directors Michelle Morgan and Wendy Morgan. So we're taking up meetings with production companies from Chile at the festival this year, TIFF, and
Okay,
then sort out funding and casting throughout the early part of the end of this year to early next year.
Amazing. Um,
excellent.
I've
And yeah,
written.
we want to work with Jess again. So
Oh, yeah,
I think
I've
that was a big thing for me. Like just to add, sorry, earlier on, it's like I never really met anyone from the UK, and I know UK has a big film industry as well. So I wanted to make that connection. So hopefully to just grow there on that side as well. And I guess I like the world Jess writes in. Like the last movie I did was a drama. I want to try and keep working on the genre side as well. So just building that as well.
we're both. I feel like Canada and the UK. We're both sort of like little subsidiaries often of US filmmaking where they can't afford to make it in the US. Sort of bonded over that. Um, I've written another short that is, I'd say, higher on the it's quite outrageous. It's less sort of like realism, I would say, although it's also based in a true story, but it's like more urban mythy than like actual something that happened to one of my friends. And it's a lot of fun. It's sort of it's like a story within a story, somebody telling about something that's ha just happened to them. And yeah, with that, I have written it as a short film. It's in the process of becoming a feature, which is part of the funding. So, like, I've been given funding for it, but in return, I need to write a feature that, somebody someday might make some money off because shorts tend not to make too much money. And I've also written a pilot, and that is currently in the process of maybe being optioned, which is really exciting.
Awesome. We're going to try and keep you up to date and make you all prepared. And I can't wait for people to see your films. So
Thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate you spending the time with me today, and we'll definitely speak again, and hopefully we'll see you at the screening day as well.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Robin.
Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye. Have
Nice.
a good afternoon.
Bye for now.
Bye.